my best advice for you is to take things less personally, to literally stop taking things so personally, because whenever a need is not being met, I promise you, your partner is not trying to ruin your life or out to get you. Welcome back to AG University Podcast. It is I, your host and professor and lead dancing unicorn at Anna Grace Newell and at AG University Podcast on Instagram for more of this content. Angel messages, somatic movements, all of the things. If you're new here, I'm an Akashic Records practitioner. That's essentially connecting with your soul's blueprint or your soul's library. And we always channel in messages from our higher self that is rooted in love for our highest timeline, right? So I'm so glad you guys are back today. I am on YouTube and Spotify every single Wednesday. And this is going to be a fun little episode today. I'm going to talk more relationship, love, feminine energy, queen energy. And I really feel like this can apply whether you're single or in a relationship or married or just across the board. Just some good little tips and tricks that I've picked up over the last year, because guess what? It's my 1-year anniversary. Can you guys believe it? I've already been married for a year. I thought it'd be fun to do a anniversary chit chat, marriage talks, advice for showing up as your best self in partnership. And also I'll share a couple of things around the wedding as well, like things that I look back on that I'm like, was so awesome, worth it. Maybe things that I'm like, I don't know, whatever. So that's going to be a little overview of today. And I just gotta say, you guys, I woke up this morning and I was feeling like not that energetic or just not that excited about the day, like nothing in particular. I was just kind of feeling meh. And I have made a deal with myself as I build this somatic platform that every single morning I'm going to put on a song and I set my timer, and for 5 minutes I do a happy dance, even if I'm not feeling happy. Because what I've learned in my somatic training is that our body actually influences. It's like when you're kind of sad and you just smile, and eventually your body will start to think you're happy, and then your brain starts releasing happy chemicals just from smiling. Like our physical being influences our cognition so much. It is so crazy. So I just did a happy dance, and in the mirror I was looking at myself like not happy, but I was just still doing the happy dance. I was like, and you know what? That shit works. Like, I got so excited to record this podcast, and I'm so happy to be on the mic. And it's just completely reinforcing why I am making my own somatic platform, because the foundation of the platform is going to be, like, research shows if you can do something for 5 minutes every single day versus 30 minutes every few days, the results are exponentially greater, brighter, bolder, better than if you just do something for an hour and then you only end up doing it like once a week. If you can just do it for 5 minutes a day, anything for 5 minutes a day, you are going to hit your goal so much faster, and the results are going to, just take shape so much faster, because you're turning your identity into someone who shows up in that way consistently. So we're creating a lot of 5-minute videos, like tune into your nervous system reset in 5 minutes. I'm still kind of working on the languaging. I like to give you guys a, behind the scenes look over here on the podcast, like as we're creating and making things. Last week I had some flights because I was in Nashville, if you caught the last episode, and I did a bunch of in-flight. So for situations where maybe you feel heightened, activated, move through anxiety, whatever is going on, and you're in the air, because that's a really common place. So I did all these different somatic moves, hand movements, shapes, positions to get your body in, your legs, things to do with your head, your neck, anything you can do, in an Uber or on a plane. And they're kind of short and sweet. And then also I'm just kind of talking you through any situation to help you tune into your nervous system and just bring calmness and safety into your body. So that's what I was working on last week. I have been feverishly, along with my team, working on this platform. It's something that I'm really, really excited about. And I think it's something that not only I have needed, as I've literally put myself back together from having a nervous system breakdown, but also, anyways, I'm just really excited, and I wanted to give you guys a little update. Still not sure exactly what the timeline is. Maybe there's a future version of you who catches this podcast in a year and it's already out. In the meantime, everything, of course, will always be linked in the show notes. I feel like that's how podcasting kind of works. People will discover me like a year later and then go back and like binge all of my previous podcast episodes. So whatever time frame you're catching me, AGU's somatic rhythmic healing platform is loading and I'm so excited. We're gonna have an app. We're pulling out all the stops. Okay. Anywho, I'm today, if you guys catch me on YouTube, I'm wearing a shirt that really made me giggle. It says, "Sorry I'm late. I was dilly-dallying with like a little baby lamb on it." And also I've been getting a lot of questions on my lip combo. I always like to just give you guys a few little happy things. Lips I always wear when I record podcasts. Nude beige NYX lip liner with a Youthforia. It's a blush and a lip color changing oil on my lips, and we're gonna link it in the show notes because we saw some people commenting saying like, love this podcast, but what's the lip combo? And it made me laugh because I always like to share my little favorite fun happies. This shirt made me giggle because I love to dilly dally. Like dilly dallying is such a luxury at this point in my life because we're all busy, but if I can dilly dally, like give me a Sunday where I can go get a matcha or like go get a tea, poke around at the plant store, poke around at a thrift store, like I'm going to dilly dally. I love to dilly dally. So maybe you have someone in your life that likes to dilly dally. This is a great shirt. Great gift idea. It was like a $5 tank top from Target, but I was like, I got to have it. Anywho, let's get back to the point of the show, which is talking about 1 year being married. And I wanted Austin to record this podcast with me. I'm still going to have him on at some point. He's actually out of town. And also I was like, I might talk a little bit more about like feminine energy and queen energy. And this is applicable for really a lot of aspects of your life, just showing up as the best version of you. So I was like, well, maybe it worked out he's out of town because I can talk to the girlies about this. And one thing I will get out of the way, which you guys maybe remember, this has kind of been like my best bride advice for anyone who's getting married soon, or you can send this to a friend. If you guys saw my reels, they went live about November of last year. I'm not going to bring the story time back because I think Austin honestly might get mad at me for continuing to roast his cousin publicly on all my platforms. So I'm not going to bring the story time here, but there was some tea, there was some drama. A rehearsal dinner speech went absolutely rogue. I also recorded it on Shannon's podcast because I feel like we can just rip and be outrageous and funny over there. I always try to keep this podcast a sacred container, and I don't want to bring those vibes over here because it was just like such a chaotic rehearsal dinner story time. But I always tell people my best advice for rehearsal dinners is anyone that's giving a speech needs to be briefed by the bride. Okay. It's not to be left to the groom. And there is 4 P's that cannot be spoken of. And this is the 4P rule. Okay. I'm going to give you the 4P rule and you're going to think, Anna Grace, no way. This is crazy. Like, I don't have to say this out loud. You do. I have been to so many weddings and I've heard all of these P's be brought up and they should never be spoken out loud at anyone's wedding. Okay. Starting with the top, first P, politics. What are we doing? You're here to say, I love the bride. I love the groom. I love you guys. I'm so happy. Sit down, zip it. No time, no energy for politics, right? The next one, potty humor. Another one you would think, surely not, Anna Grace. I've seen it actually multiple times be done. Like people always have like a funny story where like someone accidentally like went to the bathroom in their pants or like, I don't know, something they like want to be embarrassing. I'm also here to say like, rehearsal dinner speeches or like speeches in general, like that are in front of like all the family, all the people, like do that at the bachelor party, the bachelorette, like, I don't know, another time, another place. We're not here to humiliate the bride and the groom. Okay. And if you're going to embarrass anybody, like actually, no one, it's like the family's not in on the inside jokes. Like usually there's like your colleagues are there. Like, no, it's just not like, yes, you can tell a funny story, but like, we're not there to like talk about this one time in college, like your friend pooped their pants. Like, what are we doing? Okay. And again, I've seen this happen. And I feel like that was one of my things is I wasn't like really prepared. I thought for sure, like everyone was going to be on their absolute best behavior. Okay. So where did I leave off? Politics, potty, past lovers, past girlfriends, past anything in the past that really the bride or the groom, we don't need to fill them in. Okay. It's not the time. It's not the place. Like I've been with her through all of her heartbreak and her last guy that did this to, like not the time. Past is out of here. Okay. We're not talking about the past. We're in the present. And the present is that the bride and the groom are getting married and we're so happy for them. They're going to live happily ever after. Amen. Okay. And then the next one and the most important one and the last P, and this one certainly does come up. Anything about involving or to do with the penis, okay? The willy, the whatever you want to call it, they always seem to come up. A little funny story about, I don't know, somebody running naked, blah, 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 showing like men, lock it the fuck down. This is not the time, not the place. And spoiler alert, I will tell you that's what happened with one of Austin's family members. Just like had too much to drink and just like had a speech, literally just like last minute threw out the window and just went rogue. And he claims that apparently he wasn't briefed well enough, that was inappropriate, which again, if you have like any shred of, social cues, you would know that that's not. But again, my best advice for brides is you really, if anybody is going to get a microphone in their hand, they need to have a very, very strict instructions. Okay. Like, yeah, that was like probably my most like traumatic moment from our wedding, just because I was like, oh my God, I've probably never been so embarrassed in my life. But alas, now it's actually kind of funny because when I go to weddings, I always laugh and like we tell a funny story. It makes for a funny story. A year later, I can laugh about it. Okay. But it is one of those things that whenever people said like, on your wedding day, things might go wrong or stuff might pop up or whatever, I thought like, oh, maybe like there'll be a mistake, like the wrong dessert will come or like the flowers or like whatever. And what I've gathered from this experience and sharing it publicly is that people across the board unanimously all have stepped forward and said, I don't know what it is, but people act the fuck up at weddings and they also act the fuck up at funerals. I didn't know that either. That's another. Any big monumental moment, there just are people that they don't know how to act. And I think that was probably something that I wish. And by the way, I'm not trying to scare you. It's not like, but there's going to be someone that has too much to drink. Okay. There's going to be someone that like does something silly. Like I had a friend's wedding recently where like a guy ended up on the dance floor and took off all of his clothes. Here's the thing. This shit's going to happen. You just got to have a plan and a person in place that's going to handle the situation. Okay. That's going to shut it down. One person's toe gets out of line, you blow the whistle and that person is there, whether it's your wedding planner, your maid of honor, someone. Like I just was not prepared for, we didn't have like, we had a big wedding, I guess. There was 100 people or maybe more. I can't even remember now, maybe like 130. It wasn't like out of control. But anyways, I'm just here to say that you just have a plan in place. If somebody acts up, you just have someone politely tap them on the shoulder and just throw them out. Okay. I don't know what to do. Yeah. That was probably my best advice. And the thing that I wasn't expecting is that everyone's like, yeah, wedding days, people just kind of act the fuck up and like, just have a plan, politely send them on their way. And by the way, I've been to plenty of weddings where people act normal and fine. They're not on their worst behavior. Okay. But don't allow it to be something that ruins your day, because like I said, I was just so caught off guard that it bobbled me. And looking back, I wish that I just had someone like immediately like rip the microphone out of his hand and tell him to sit down and like zip it. Everyone was so like, it was such a jump scare that it was like you were watching two cars collide and you just like couldn't stop it. You just couldn't stop watching. Yeah. So just have a plan in place because, sometimes people, you never know what they're going through. When people have a monumental major life moment, they, maybe they feel insecure or lonely and they need to make it about themselves or whatever. Don't allow it to ruin your day. Like I think when people said stuff's going to go wrong, I was like, oh yeah, I don't care about the minor details. I didn't realize like, let's take into account for like our friends and family. And like at the end of the day, they're still family. They're still friends. Everything's, it is what it is. Assign people in your life to handle it. That's like my best advice. Like just don't even involve the bride. Like I wish there was like things that I just like didn't even know about. Like people acting up, you guys handle it. Don't even tell me. I'm going to be living my best life with my husband. So yeah, just brief them on the speeches. Okay. So that's just kind of like my little funny, silly, like I always tell people the 4 Ps because you would just be like shocked at how many people when I told this story, like shared probably stories not as bad as mine, but similar ones about like someone, mentioning about like, I remember your first blowjob. And you just want to be like, you really just said that in front of my Aunt Pearl, who's like 85. Like, what are we doing? Yeah. So apparently it's a common thing. And if I can use my platform to save you from any humiliation, I'd love to. I would love to do that for you. A year later, like I said, I can laugh about it now. And if you really want the whole tea, you can stalk my reels. There's like a very long 8-minute story time. I don't want to bring the whole story over here because, at some point, Austin probably will be like, please quit talking smack on my family. My other piece of advice that I wanted to share with you guys is my mom was so adamant about doing a welcome party, which is usually on like a Thursday night. So like our setup was Thursday night welcome party, Friday night rehearsal dinner, Saturday big shebang. And I was so resistant. I was like, I do not want to do it's just like another event for people to go to, another thing to pay for, blah, blah, blah. And now I've been giving all my girlfriends advice who are on the fence about doing like a welcome thing, which by the way, you can do something so casual. Like we just did something at like everyone meet at the rooftop bar at the hotel where the room block was. You can make it so it's not super expensive. Like that was a very like low effort situation and everyone was already staying at the hotel and we just gathered. And I will say my mom was right. Mothers, sometimes they are right. It was the best decision that Austin and I, like we were both kind of like, oh, we don't want to do another event. Like at some point, this is just like so many things, but it was awesome because we got to hug and have a conversation with every single person that came into town for our wedding. So then on the wedding night, I didn't feel overwhelmed or guilty that like I didn't get to have a full blown conversation, check in with all of our loved ones, right? Because like then on the wedding night, you're kind of overwhelmed because you're like, I need to talk to everyone. I need to like check in with them, blah, blah, blah. So I highly recommend. And then the rehearsal dinner, you know, is like usually only the wedding party. So we did invite more people from out of town, but it still wasn't everyone, and not everyone could make it in time, blah, 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 you know, whatever. So having a Thursday night moment to like really talk to some of those people that maybe on your wedding night, you're not going to be like fully engrossed in conversation with, actually ended up being some of my best advice, because I just wanted to dance and do me. And you just want to focus on you and your husband and, you know, your like family nucleus, and like, you know, just be in the moment and not worry about feeling guilty that like you didn't get to talk to everyone who came into town. It's like, oh, they came all the way and I didn't even get to speak to them or whatever. So that's some other like advice. Looking back, Austin and I were both really happy. We did a welcome party moment just because, you know, people can take pictures with you. They can feel seen by you. Like everyone wants to feel seen, right? And I want everyone in my life to feel seen and loved by me. And that just like took a lot of stress off of my plate. So another little tidbit that I will offer you. And then going into marriage. So Austin and I obviously have been married for 1 year and we're going into 5 years together. But I think that marriage really transformed our relationship so beautifully. Like, I know some people say, oh, it's not any different. It doesn't feel any different. Like Austin and I have been living together. We've been living together as a family with my stepson, Zane, for many years now. But I just feel like marriage, I felt like it was such a love portal, by the way. You guys can go back and listen to my wedding episodes a year ago. It's like my vows, and I share a lot more tea there, but wedding energy is such a portal. It's magical. I don't know. Not that it was like a dramatic change, but just over the course of the year, Austin and I are such a motherfucking unit. We are such a team. It's insane. Like, I just feel like it solidified, you know, it solidifies any of those fears too, that like if something goes wrong, like the person's going to break up with you or leave because you're not married. Again, like I know marriage isn't for everyone, but here's the thing. For me, in my point of view, I think it was such a bonding isn't the right word, but just like a safety. Like it just brought us into this like sense of like, we are family, we are a team, like it is us against the world, you know? Like I just feel like our relationship has flourished so much. Like the love and the adoration that I have for my husband at this point versus like when we first met, it's just crazy how much it's grown. And I'm also here to say, like, I genuinely do believe that relationships only get better over time. I refuse the narrative or the rhetoric that people love to be like, oh, just wait until like 10 years and like all this fades and blah, blah, blah. Like, granted, I know we haven't been together for 10 years and I can't speak to that, but I just like also, that's not my belief system. So that's not my story. I just have like the utmost respect for our marriage and our relationship. And like I said, we do a lot of inner work. We're both committed to being the healthiest, happiest versions of ourselves first. And then when we come together, we are just, I mean, we are a force, truly. Like we are so, Austin is such an unbothered king. Like I live such a public life, and the way that man thinks that like crazy people on the internet are like funny. Like he just thinks like they are acting up and hilarious. Like he's so unbothered. It's just, it's such a blessing, because it definitely takes like a very confident person to be with someone who is, you know, kind of has a more public life, you know? And Austin just could not be more just down. Like he is he's my ride or die. He's my guy. He's my dude. I love that guy. That's why I married him. But I am here to say that like 1 year into marriage, like it has felt like such a transformative year in so many ways. And especially this last, I kind of told you guys when this past month, I was going through a really hard time, and Austin has also gone through a similar situation. And even that was such a sort of light bulb moment for our relationship, of times where when he was going through a really hard time and I would take things personally, like, oh my gosh, he's not like paying attention to me, or he's not whatever. This was actually before we got married, but this is a segue for where I'm going with this conversation. And that has been like probably the biggest lesson that I've learned just being in partnership with Austin, and just a healthy relationship in general, is there's times where, this was probably 3 years ago for him, where he was in a really tough spot, really bad, you know, struggling with anxiety, struggling with just like a lot of things going on. Like life just threw him some crazy curveballs, and like his nervous system responded accordingly. Like there was really nothing wrong, nothing anyone could have done better, right, wrong. It just kind of was one of those situations. It was like, yeah, this is a tricky situation. And he was going through a hard time, and I would get my feelings hurt. Like, oh my gosh, love me, cuddle me, pay attention to me. And then when I was on the other side of having my little mentee bee recently, my nervous system shut down. I realized in that moment, like, oh my gosh, like I actually can't even, I can't really function in a way of like connecting with my partner right now. It's a really hard time. And like, I had such compassion for him because I realized, oh my gosh, I took that time so personally and it had nothing to do with me. Okay. It had nothing to do with me. And I think that's a big lesson that I've learned this past year in my marriage and also in general is that, and my best advice for you is to take things less personally, to literally stop taking things so personally, because whenever a need is not being met, I promise you, your partner is not trying to ruin your life or out to get you, unless, by the way, you're just in a toxic relationship and you should know that at that point. Okay. I'm talking about, let's all use discernment and say like, hey, this is for when I'm in a healthy relationship. This next advice that I'm about to give you, because it was really transformative. I was like, wow, there's been times where I really took things personally. Me, Cancer. Okay. I'm kind of sensitive. And also I really need physical touch. Austin and I travel away from each other a lot, but when we are together, like intimacy and closeness is really important for me. And I think there used to be times where like if I was gone for too long, like I would be like, oh my gosh, like we need this closeness or we need this whatever. And like, I'm also just here to say like things in life ebb and flow. And also if you take things less personally, I promise you like everything is fine. It's more of like, I'd say that's like an old kind of maybe anxious attachment. Like when I'm away from him or traveling for a long time, I'm like, wait, don't forget about me. And I really feel also that's a great book, The Four Love Languages. Avoidant and anxious attachment is such a good conversation to understand. I can break into that another time, but shifting into this year of marriage and like fully secure attachment and having these conversations. And like Austin is my person. Like I could tell him every intrusive thought I've ever had in my life in my head. And he'd be like, yeah, I understand. Yeah, I could see that being really scary, but like, you're good, babe. Like he's so just, I don't know. He's just so solid. He is so solid. Anyways, all that being said, I've had these full circle moments where I realized at times like, oh, I was taking things personally when I shouldn't. And it actually had nothing to do with me. And actually, Austin was just going through a hard time. He did not love me any less. He was not trying to hurt my feelings. So I'm going to tell you, this is the little gift that I'm going to give you of, y'all know I'm an avid reader. I love to read. And I read this book recently. I'm going to show it on YouTube and Spotify. I've got it right here. It's called The Queen's Code. I actually have a few chapters left, but I've read like 75% of the book. And this is what I'm going to say about this book. I could see this book being very polarizing for some people. I'm here to say I am so rooted in myself and my own belief system that I can read polarizing information and it doesn't upset me or bother me. I'm unbothered in the fact that like I kind of like hearing extreme perspectives on all sides because then I can take what resonates with me and leave what doesn't, if that makes sense. So this book is not for everyone, is what I'm saying. And I'm not standing on business on every point that's made in the book, but I do think there are some good points that I needed to hear. And let me give my backstory. I come from a very strong lineage of women. Okay. I come from a very, very raw women situation. Okay. Which is awesome. And by the way, my dad is an earth angel that fell out of the heavens and raised me. Okay. He is heavenly. If you've ever seen my dad on social media, he's an amazing man. And he is also very raw women. Okay. He has like a whole female household. And so what's interesting about this book in the Queen's Code, there's about 3 points that I'm going to share with you that I thought were fascinating and were kind of a light bulb moment for me. In this book, the author is Allison Armstrong. Allison makes these points. It's a very easy read, by the way. It's written out like through scenarios that are happening, not just giving you information, if that makes sense. So it's like giving you real-time examples. And in the book, she talks about how basically we all know that society was physically built by men, mostly for men, because that was who was building society. And then, now we live in a world where it's so fast-paced that it's really designed more for the male biology, right? Women's bodies aren't actually designed for the 5 a.m. cold plunge and like all of this stuff. So like, yeah. I'm with you guys. I am team women all the way, but like there is also some parts that's like, it's kind of, a lot of things are built to support men. We also know that too. And we're all coming into this awakening that we need more feminine, nurturing energy to be our best selves, right? I'm trying not to get political because this isn't really what the point of this conversation is, but in the book, she says that we have been conditioned to hate men. And I thought it was really interesting because I was like, oof, there's definitely a lot of talk at some family gatherings of mine, a lot of women, okay, that are like, not we hate men, but like men, of course, like their ego and they're this and they're selfish and they're da. And she's like, societally, women over time have been conditioned that like men are kind of the enemy, like, right? Like women get paid less and like men, blah, 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 blah. And like, there's TikTok sounds that are like, I hate all men, but when he blah, blah, blah. Or there's literally just trends right now that are like this and hating men, or like we hate men that have podcasts. Like we hate men. Like here's the thing. I'm so team both sides. Like there are some men out there that really need to close their flaps. Okay. Their lips need to be closed. Like I hear you. But I also thought this was a very fascinating because basically she's saying like, we've kind of gotten this divide where women are like looking at men through this lens of like, we hate men. And she said it's really hard for us to separate that ideology from our partner if you're into men. I really wish I could speak to all genders right now. I've only ever been with men. So like, that's the only advice that I have. But like, I still think people can apply this to other relationships in their life, whether it's like a boss or someone. Like we're quick to, when it comes to men, we're quick to be like, they're selfish, they're lazy, they're careless, we hate them. Women can do all these things, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, whoa, that is kind of an underlying currency that's happening in the world. And if you can seriously zoom out, take a higher level perspective, we're all human beings, we're all energetically connected. And if you have this running program in the back of your mind that's like, I hate men, but you're also married to a man, whenever you have an argument, you're putting him in that category of all men are blank. Whatever comes to mind, like, I don't know, like all men, their egos or whatever the word is, you're putting them in that category. And that's actually like the demise of like your relationship and like you're creating that narrative. So statement that she says, anytime there is an argument or say your partner says something, whereas you're like, oh my gosh, like how I was telling you, I'm like, oh, he doesn't even love me. When meanwhile, poor Austin's having like a mental breakdown. It has nothing to do with me. Right. She said, always assume your partner has good intentions. Before you open your mouth, assume that they have good intentions. And that was such a good mental switch that like this past year, I've really been implementing and practicing just with honestly kind of everyone in my life. Like I say this is marriage, but I also think relationship stuff spans out into all areas. Like assume they have the best intentions. Let's all put on our thinking cap when it comes to men, or just maybe someone, this could be a figure in your life. It's not fair to place the stereotype of like the person you hate the most on like all of them, right? Like that's just not fair. Like my dad is the love of my life. Like I have an amazing father. Are there also men that I could punch in the throat? Yes, but I don't see them the same, right? And it's not fair to put all people in this one bucket. It kind of goes back to like any type of stereotyping or whatever. So yes, anytime that you have a situation with your partner, instead of looking at them through this lens of like old past wounds, right? We're going to come into the present moment. And this is really a transformative shift that can happen in relationships. One, she also says that women perceive men to be misbehaving women. And instead of seeing them as men and how different we are biologically, mentally, our brain, cognition, we're very different creatures. And I also thought that was really funny because there's also been times where I tell Austin, I'm like, how could you not understand blah, blah, blah? Or like, how could you not see this? Like, I'm so confused. Like, am I crazy? Like, how are we not like seeing eye to eye on this? And Austin will literally be like, babe, I'm not you. Like, I don't live inside your brain. Like, how was I supposed to know that? And I'm like, oh my gosh. She said that's one of the most common things that women do in all relationship is basically put men in this category as like a misbehaving woman, right? Like this creature, it should be like me, should know how to do all these things. And they're not. So they're like a misbehaving, like a bad woman. Might be something you have to read a little bit more in the book for it to make sense. But I thought it was a really interesting concept that we project basically this perfect version of what we need ourselves to be onto our partner. And when they're not living up to that expectation, we're disappointed in them when it's actually not a fair reality for them to live in. So anyways, one of the most transformative shifts that can happen in a relationship is when a woman chooses to assume her partner has good intentions, even if their actions might not land well. Like even if maybe they say something that you're like, didn't love that, but like, let's not go to a place of old wounding. Let's stay at the current frequency, because this mindset of assuming your partner always has good intentions, it breaks the habit of interpreting a man's behavior as careless, selfish, hurtful, and instead invites in curiosity and compassion, which I am so team, let's be curious. Let's not just do things the way we've always done it. Like let's invite in curiosity, because it's ultimately about choosing trust over defense, like not going to the defense. This is such a good mental shift in being able to respond differently, because all you can ever control is your response, right? And the other part of the book basically is like, men are not against women. Men actually are motivated by the deepest desire to make their partner happy, even more so than women. Like men are actually like, they play for points. They're like competitive. Like they actually really want to make their partner happy more so than anyone in the relationship, which is another thing she talks about, like giving them like clear directives and like quit making them guess and like read our mind. Like if you want something, just say it, because then a man is most likely going to deliver that task because they have like clear direction. Obviously, like your delivery is important. We're not out here nagging, but it's like, you know what would make me really happy if we, you know, grab lunch at my favorite spot tomorrow or blah, blah, blah. It's just a very clear instruction is very important. It also goes back to just good communication, but men are wired for success. They want to feel that their partner is happy because that to them equates to a level of success. So when we assume good intentions, we stop reacting from old wounds where it's like, old wound, he doesn't care about me. And we start responding from a new level of awareness, which is, yeah, he means well, but maybe he just didn't express it correctly. Let's be curious and invite in curiosity and investigate without turning into a naggy grandma. This assumption will change your energy from critical or guarded to receptive and grounded. And also receptive is, you know, kind of that feminine essence. Even that shift alone can invite in so much more connection and respect in just like the level of communication. I just thought it was such a good idea. And like another thing too is, you know, your partner always wants to feel trusted, and more so than just like trust that they won't cheat on you. No, like deep trust. Like that's such a good thing to put into conversation is if Austin's asking me for, I don't know, something, or basically you're giving your partner permission to lead also by saying like, you know what, I really trust your intuition to make this decision. Like I really trust you to make these decisions for our family. That is such a encouraging statement for anybody in partnership, is like, no, I really trust you that you're gonna make the best decision. This is how I feel, but I also trust you in whatever decision you're gonna make, because I know that, you know, like again, you have the best intentions for me. You're looking out for me. I'm no longer putting you in this category of we hate all men, you know. And I have definitely, let me tell you, I've been guilty of at times in my, you know, 20s and singlehood of just being like, literally, I hate all men. They're so stupid. Like, you know, we've all said certain things. We're like, ugh, men, eye roll. Ugh, can you believe them? And that's something that I have really put aside, because again, I am really trying to practice what I preach, and that we're all human beings. We're all here to connect. We're all coming from the same creator. We're all from the same source. We all deserve love and respect, even when it's challenging, right? It's not our job to put these, you know, past wounds on our present partner, because obviously we chose to be with them for a reason, because we love them, we trust them, we adore them. And if you don't, then you shouldn't be with them, right? So the book gives a lot of examples. And like I said, there are some things in the book that I'm like, maybe a little extreme, but some of these shifts were so, I thought, just really interesting and insightful. And I always love to share those. Yeah, like I told you guys, like I just, every year my adoration and respect for my husband grows, because he respects me and supports me so deeply, so fully. And it's not fair for me to ever assume that he's not, right? So that was one little hot take. And the other one about this Queen's Code book that I thought was really interesting, because I'm all about trying to shift more into my feminine energy when it comes to relationship, because a big thing that I've recognized and reconciled over the past year is like, I take marriage and my relationship with my husband so seriously that like, if there's a problem, I'm the type of person that's like, I'm going to fix it right now. Like that's how I am with my life. Like if something is not going the way, or like I'm not a complainer, like I just don't complain. I'm not going to stay in something too long. I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to move through it. I'm going to prevail. Like I am an unstoppable force. I just am. And that's because it's my belief system. But I've learned that in partnership, you can't bring that type of like, I'm going to fix you. I'm going to fix it. I'm going to fix this. I'm going to fix that. Like fixing is a very masculine energy. Like the masculine is like when they see a problem, logically they want to solve it. That's why like when you vent to a partner and they're not like venting back with you, they're actually in their brain trying to come up with a solution because they love you and they don't want to see you in pain. But as women, we get annoyed. We're like, can't you just like gossip with me? Or like, can't you just let me vent? Like, why are you taking their side? No, like that to them is like actually an action of love, right? Like, I'm sorry, I have so many things to say about this, but I'm going rogue. Anyways, the book has some really good things. It also talks about the biology of men versus women and how their thought processes work versus women's thought processes, which is very interesting, because it does take us out of the category of like men are just quote misbehaving women. Like women have the ability to multitask and to do a lot of things at once and have different communication styles, whereas men have a bit more of like a one thing at a time because they want to do one thing really well. So when we're throwing a lot at them, they get overwhelmed. There's no way to communicate effectively when we're coming at it from like that lens. There's just a lot of practical examples there. And it is just a friendly reminder that our partner is not us. They do not live inside of our brain. They don't know everything. And we always need to take things less personally has been my greatest lesson. Like, I just don't think I take anything personally anymore, even in friendships and relationships. Like, I think relationships are the greatest starting point because we can see where our wounds are really triggered because our partner is really important to us and we've invested a lot of time and energy and we love them and they're important, but it also reflects triggers out into other areas of our life. That's why I just think relationships are so fascinating. They're our actual greatest mirrors and teachers. And there's someone that's so close to us where we can see things just really clearly. And then it trickles out into other ways that we relate to human beings. And like I said, you could have male coworkers in the workplace and other people where some of these ideologies could shift your perspective and your behavior because not everyone is out to get you. I promise. They really aren't. Like, I know there's people in the past that have wronged you and like we have to separate them from just like lumping all people in together as like these terrible species. Like, I was just thinking about this morning. I'm like, I hate when people say like the world is going up in smoke and everything's horrible and the world's ending and it's like we're all going to die and blah. But I'm like, guys, all we ever see is the news that's negative. There is so much positive, beautiful stuff happening. I will never give up on believing in the good of humanity and that there are good people in this world. We only see the negative stuff because that's what gets people's attention is fear. Fear sells. And that's why it's all around us on social media and it makes us feel like the whole world is burning. But I'm just here to say, like, I'm not giving up on humanity. I do genuinely believe there is good things happening in this world. I believe there are good people in this world. I believe there is goodness. So that's why I'm kind of offering these perspectives of like, nobody is out to get you in the way that the world makes it seem at times. There is still goodness. You have so many gifts and so much to offer the world. You have so many amazing resources. You have so many amazing gifts. You're intuitive. You have the gift of discernment. And I think if you're here, then you share my belief system that like we are all one. We are all connected. We're going to end our, we hate blank campaign because it's just ultimately hurting ourselves and hurting our relationship with how we show up with other people, right? We're creating sort of these false narratives. So anyways, I'm already at about time and I really only got through a couple of points, but always curious if you guys like hearing more about relationship stuff. I know everyone always loves Akashic records and higher self messages. And this is kind of a little combination of both because I always like to share some interesting takeaways from books that I'm reading because I just find it's helpful for my life and maybe for yours as well. Austin and I are we're actually going to go to 30A and celebrate our anniversary, which is the Gulf side of Florida. It's really beautiful water and I just can't wait. He's been out of town. By the time this goes live, our anniversary will have just passed. So I can't wait to spend some time with him and maybe I'll get a couple of relationship hot takes from Austin and what he's learned in the past year of marriage. And by the way, our wedding video is always on YouTube. I feel like it's such a good wedding video. I'm probably biased because it was my wedding. I'll also link that in the show notes because it's really sweet and you get to see Austin's vows, mine, my vows to Zane. And it's just a really happy watch as I got married in my parents' backyard. So I hope you found something interesting today and maybe something that you can apply immediately into your life. And yeah, I think that's everything I got. I don't have any other announcements. Still working on the platform. Anytime I get back to readings, that will go out in my newsletter. If you ever wanted to book a reading with me, make sure you're part of my newsletter. And yeah, that's everything. Thanks for coming to class. Hope you guys take notes, share this with a loved one, a friend, your support, sharing these episodes, leaving reviews. I mean, it means the world to me as we really don't ever put ads on this podcast. Your support and the energy that comes from you, it's invaluable. So I just want to say thank you guys so much for being here. Thank you for being a dancing unicorn. I love you. I hope you have a beautiful day and you have so many gifts to share with this world. And I'm just so honored to be a part of your journey. Love you guys. Bye.